Oh goodness. I got flipped around. What is up, guys? A lot of you have recently asked me about my garden door and if I'm planning on taking it with me. The answer is no. I'm gonna leave that here. That door was actually on the front of this house when we bought it. That was on the front door. And it was not, like the hinges weren't hanging quite right, and it ended up breaking. And when we built this garden gate, I had an idea that I wanted a door that I could paint hot pink. And I was looking at thrift stores and going to like the Habitat for Humanity store and all that stuff, looking for something like that. And I was really getting discouraged because I wasn't finding what I had in my mind. And I came home one day and I walked up the front stairs and that door was leaned up against the house because it had recently broken off the front door. And I looked at it and I thought, well, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So it was free 90 free. I already paid for it when I bought the house. And I spray painted it pink. But we built this archway to fit that door, and it's hung up there, and I feel like it belongs with this garden. I've been conceptualizing and sketching my ideas for my new garden at my new place, and I'm definitely gonna have a really cool garden gate, but I'm kind of excited to get to do everything over again. And the ideas that I have so far and what I'm drawing, it's gonna be really, really a cool garden. I'm thinking something grand for the entrance. So we've juiced some of this chard, but I really haven't used very much. And I was noticing the other day how big it's gotten. It's starting to get some little holes in it, and I really need to start using it up. And I was looking at recipes and I found this one recipe. I haven't tried it yet. I'll put a link to it down below. I found it on Pinterest, and it was like a creamed chard, kind of like how you do creamed spinach, and it had Parmesan and breadcrumbs and heavy cream. Obviously super healthy. But I'm gonna actually be making that with dinner tonight with this chard, and hopefully it'll be good. Chard can kind of have a little bit of an earthy bite to it, and yeah, so I think putting it with the cream will probably settle that down. So we got a lot of the garden planted out this last couple of days. Ground cherries, all the tomatoes are now in. I ended up putting in these areas, these sections, I did some glass gem corn in these raised beds. The weather has been not great. It's been raining a lot. It's cool. So in the forecast the next couple of days, the low is like 40 Fahrenheit, 4 degrees Celsius. And I'm like, what in the world? I just planted out all my peppers. I don't appreciate that at all. Hey guys. They see me here and want roses. All right, I'll give you one. Oh, y'all smell. Come on, zoomy little dude. Y'all wanna come up here and see the turkeys? So I've taken advantage of all these rainy days to be working in my house. We've officially started packing, which is crazy to wrap my head around. I know that this next couple months is just gonna go by so fast. Hey! So our turkeys, they're gonna be really loud while I sit here. Our turkeys just started laying really well, and we've kept, you guys are so chatty. So they just started laying really well, and we're actually gonna downsize because the toms are starting to really get at each other, and we have too many toms per hen. But we're going to keep breeding stock. I can't talk to you guys right here, they're too loud. Hey Ross Poldark, what's up, man? Hey Dr. Ennis, you stinky boy. So the idea with our turkeys is, you notice we have multiple different breeds. We have Blue Slate, Narragansett, and Bourbon Red. And we just wanted to have some breeding stock of heritage breeds. Now obviously their offspring will likely be mixed breed, and that's fine. We're not trying to necessarily like keep a pure breed of turkey. We just wanted to have heritage birds that we could breed and raise, and with them being hybrids, we'll get a little bit of that hybrid vigor that can come in. And so that will eventually be some meat sustainability. They just started laying, so we're gonna take some of them with us. We'll probably downsize a little bit because we have too many toms for the number of hens we have. Hey ducks, you're just over here maxing and relaxing. Back here, can y'all believe these potatoes? Y'all remember we made this, we planted this bed, I mean, not very long ago. Look at them already. Isn't that wild? They've already got a second layer of mulch and they're just growing. Now these are all determinate potatoes, so they bush, and we'll mulch up a couple of times. But I can't believe that. I feel like they grew faster this year than last year. Maybe I'm just not remembering. I think I'm actually a little bit in denial about the fact that it's actually halfway through May. I don't think, oh, all right, well, the little holder thing's gone from the door, so that's great. Yeah, I don't think I've quite come to terms with the fact that we are like actually thoroughly into the gardening year. Not quite ready for that. I have planted all the peppers though, just in time for 40-degree nights. So here I've got the hot peppers. Didn't do just a whole lot of those. Some marigolds, just kind of as a point of distinction, like hot peppers in here. I've got a space still left to plant. These are some odds and ends peppers that did not have tags. To catch you up, if you have not been around, we're moving in about 11 weeks. We're moving in August to South Carolina to a 27-acre property that we bought there to build what will be our forever home eventually, once there's not a building material crisis. We have bought a modular home that's being set up there for us to live in the meantime. And our focus when we get there is gonna be just to like get settled in our community, get our kids settled, and get to know our land to prepare developing it. We are taking most of the animals we have left. We have downsized over the course of the last several months knowing this was coming. And my friend Jill from Whispering Willow Farm is her YouTube channel. She's been one of my very dear friends and has been my friend since before either of us had YouTube. Her and her family are buying our farm. And so like I've got all of these peppers that I planted knowing that I probably won't really harvest much from these. Like peppers really start kicking here in central Arkansas like in August and into September, and then you harvest them right up until the frost. So I planted all of these knowing that it's mostly for Jill and Nathan. So whenever I put them in and then realized that it was, you know, gonna be so cool, you really don't want to put your peppers out until it's 50 at night, or else they can stunt. I don't think that they will because they're in the high tunnel, so it stays a little warmer in here even with it open. The soil stays warmer. But sorry, Jill, if I planted your peppers too early. It's the middle of May. What's it doing getting down to 40? Hey, sweet Maya.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, just showing everybody the peppers that I planted later than usual, but maybe too early.
This wacky weather we're having.
It is quite wacky, isn't it? What are you doing? Making phone calls?
Yeah, lots of phone calls.
Yeah.
If anyone wants a phone call, just submit your number in the comments and I'll call you. That's basically what I've been doing for like 2 weeks. Just calling people.
That's a joke. He won't.
Totally a joke.
He won't call you.
I would like to talk to you.
He would like to call you.
Be an enjoyable conversation.
It would probably be more enjoyable than the many conversations he's been having to make. What a crazy time to move across the country. It's definitely been wild. It's been really cool. I mean, we're ending up with this really cool story of how things are coming into place and pieces are coming together. But, you know, you think you're gonna go do something. It's like, okay, it's the right timing. I feel it's the right timing. The doors are gonna open, and they do open. But what you don't take into consideration is that you're gonna have to try like 47 doors before the 48th door opens. There's been a lot of dead ends, but it's coming together. It's coming together. So I was telling you guys about Jill getting my house. Well, she's been bringing some plants over, and like some of those were odds and end peppers that she had left over that didn't have tags. So we just planted miscellaneous peppers. Here's eggplants, another little line of marigolds kind of as a marker. And then these are sweet and seasoning peppers. These are like shishitos, jalapenos, habanadas, bell peppers and sweet peppers and stuff like that. So this is gonna be really full of peppers. You'll notice that these peppers are like, they're pretty close together, like 8 to 10 inches or so apart. And the thing with peppers is they do like to be close together. With anything in your garden beds, the reason why spacing is important is because plants need certain resources. They need nutrition, they need water, and they need light in order to thrive. You know, there are other factors to that, like they need airflow to not get fungal infections, and you know, they need air in the soil, and like all these different things. But those three main things are really your first thing to check on if your plants are struggling. It's not always so straightforward. I don't want to oversimplify things, but for the sake of like just getting started, you need to keep in mind you got to give them nutrition, water, and light. And if you're going to put things in close together like peppers, they say peppers like to hold hands. They actually do well close together. But you just have to keep in mind, like if you have plants close together in a garden bed, they're going to need more nutrition maybe than that small amount of soil can provide. So you might have to fertilize them. You might need to add more compost. They might go through the water faster, so you might have to water more frequently. But like in the case of this bed full of peppers, there's a ton of plants in here and they'll do really well. I might have to feed them before I move. They might need one feeding throughout the season, but this has got a whole nice big layer of compost on top of it too, so it has a lot of nutrition in it. I don't usually do just a whole lot of fertilizing. Usually topping off the beds with compost before every planting season is sufficient for all of my plants to do well. The only time I ever do that is if I notice, like last year I noticed that my peppers weren't putting off a lot of flowers. They weren't setting a whole lot of fruit. They were planted this close together, and I thought, that might be an issue. So I just got like a rounded organic fertilizer and, you know, diluted it as the instructions said in water, and watered them like 1 or 2 times over the course of a couple weeks, and they flushed with a bunch of new flowers and had a lot more fruit put on them. I get a lot of questions from people trying to problem solve, and a lot of times there's not a black and white answer. A lot of times when you're having issues in your garden, you just got to try different things to see what helps. And if it helps, then you just kind of put that in your toolbox and you'll know for next time. I did plant all determinate tomato varieties out here this year, which means they won't reach all the way up to the ceiling, and they should be a little bit easier to trellis. I think we're going to try to do something like a Florida weave. It is cabbage eating time. You can see some holes in here. We've started using them, and look, see, starting to get a little bit of buggy holes, which is fine. We'll probably use these before that gets too bad. I actually don't see, oh no, there they are. Here's the little caterpillars. So the best thing to do with these guys is hand pick them and then spray BT, not on them, but on the leaves, because they need to eat the BT for it to work. But those, when you start seeing those little caterpillars on your brassicas, you gotta do something. I gotta do something with these. I might just harvest them and make sauerkraut, because I have more cabbages in the front for fresh eating. And that's probably the best thing to do. I'll probably do that this afternoon. What are you doing, Bear? What are you doing? Yesterday, Ben Turn and I planted the garden. We planted out front until it started raining so hard that we couldn't plant anymore, and then we came out here and planted out here. And I probably have one more good session of that, like one more good afternoon, late afternoon and into the evening, of putting a lot of seeds in. I've got all the started plants that I needed to plant in, and now it's just going to be putting in a lot of seeds to get the rest of the garden in. I'm trying to fill in all the blank spaces, and then Jill is going to be planting some of the other areas that I've started to prepare. So as much as I don't love the up and down weather, and I don't love the fact that I'm wearing a hoodie in May, that's very foreign to me as an Arkansas girl, I am glad that I'm about done getting the garden in. Sweet Maya's back on the phone up there. We don't get good cell phone service in our house. Like, our phones hardly work. They hardly ever even ring when we're in the house. But he has been walking up and down our driveway. That's been his business office the last couple of weeks, sitting in his little mobile shop, making all these phone calls. Moving such a long distance is wild, because I mean, a lot of stuff you can't handle in person. It really is coming together, and I really appreciate you guys and your advice and help and prayers, and just your encouragement has been a huge help. And I think that our weather is supposed to be better over the next few days. It says it's supposed to storm all next week, but hopefully over the next few days it'll be good, and I can make some good videos for you guys out here. Thank you for hanging out with me today on this little quick run through the garden. I make these videos with y'all and I'm constantly making a list. I'm like, you know, harvest the chard for dinner, you know, finish filling out the seeds, get the cabbage in before the worms eat it before you can. Just making these little lists for myself. Thank y'all for hanging out with me today. I bless you. Until next time.